What's up, what's up? This is Qasem Muhammad and you are watching The Hook. All right, here's what's good. First, we're gonna start off talking about what's been on our radar. Then we're gonna go into an interview with the creator of the Desi dating app, Dil Mill. You know you're on it. After that, we're gonna have an interview with DJ Calcutta, a female Indian-born DJ who's tearing up the scene, collaborating with artists like Halsey. Let's do it. All right, here's what's up and here's what's happening. There's been tons of hype around Riz Ahmed. He's in that HBO show The Night Of, and you probably also know that he's a rapper. Here's the cool thing. He's collaborating with Heems of That's Racist, and they're in a duo called the Sweatshop Boys, and they are dropping an album. It's gonna be called Kashmir, coming out October 9th, and I can't wait because they've already shared some tracks like T5, Tiger Hologram, Zayn Malik, and it's sounding sick. In it, they're talking about Trouble the TSA in their song T5, and in Zayn Malik, it's a freestyle where they're talking about people idolizing pop stars. It's gonna be some fire. Okay, here are shows you need to be watching this fall because you probably already ran through The Night Of and Stranger Things. First up, Atlanta. Issa Rae's Insecure. The Get Down. Pitch. Queen Sugar. All right, so let us know what you're watching, what you think is whack. Hit us up on our socials and let us know. Tell me y'all have registered to vote. And if you haven't yet, get on that. Most states require registration at least a month in advance of Election Day, which is November 8th, which you probably already know. But hey, don't give me any of that, oh, I don't like the candidates or the policies don't affect me stuff, because there are things that might affect you, like healthcare or education or marijuana laws. I don't know. Our generation pulls in a third of the vote, so we gotta exercise our pull. You can register to vote at vote.org. And remember, Election Day is November 8th, so mark that on your calendars. If you're still confused about what to vote for, do some research. There's a lot of information out there. Everyone's talking about how much dating has changed with our generation. From the hookup culture to online dating apps, changing gender norms, going from extreme casualty to extreme formality in relationships, online dating has nearly tripled since 2013. So, naturally, things have been changing the South Asian dating community too. That's why we sat down with the founder and the CEO of the Desi dating app, Dil Mill. And we talked to him a little bit about the formula for love, how to score on these dating apps, and why it's changing. The company says that they've made over 1 million matches and average on 3 weddings a week. Let's check it out. We are here with KJ Singh, the founder and CEO of the app Dil Mill, which is a South Asian dating app. First off, you are changing lives, my man. What made you realize that we need an app for South Asians?
We saw a lot of these other apps like Tinder, Coffee Meets Bagel, and Hinge really taking off and solving the problem of helping people find like their significant other.
Yeah.
And when we looked at the South Asian market, there was really nothing for them other than like websites like Shaadi.com, which are like 20 years old and like nobody really wants to be on them and be seen on them at least, right? There's kind of a stigma associated with it, like you almost feel embarrassed to be on the platform. I had the problem really close to home because I have a sister that was 29, she's a doctor and like educated, good looking girl, and she was kind of having a hard time finding somebody, and then I kind of dug deeper into that and saw that like 10 of our other cousins were having the same problem. The more and more we looked into it, we realized that like this is actually a massive problem. That's kind of how the idea was born, to take the best aspects of the existing dating apps and the technology that existed and combining them with some of the things that were important for South Asians, like religion, like community, like education, occupation, and making just a very simple app to be able to kind of use and find somebody.
Why do you think that there was a stigma around things like Shaadi.com, but there isn't anymore with dating apps?
Right. I think one of the things is that Shaadi in particular like was very, very matrimonial focused. So when somebody's like 25, they're not necessarily like ready to get married right now.
They're not trying to get booed up.
But they're trying to meet somebody. It's similar to like your mom or your auntie introducing you to a guy. You're kind of expected to like move the conversation forward quickly and like, you know, make something of it. Versus a dating app or a matchmaking app, there's nobody pressuring you to like make this relationship work. Shaadi, like just the name Shaadi.com, right? Like imagine like somebody here in the US, you know, signing up to marriage.com, like, you know, be a very, very different mindset than a dating app.
Did your parents have an arranged marriage?
Well, it was arranged, semi-arranged.
Semi-arranged, right? It's like, oh, meet this girl, meet this guy.
Well, they actually saw each other at a wedding, and then my dad really liked called my mom, and like he asked like my grandfather, like, hey, who was that? Like, can we make this happen? So they made it happen. But the whole arranged marriage model, even in India or South Asian countries, it's not as like clear cut as we think it is. Especially if the son or daughter is educated, they have their own opinions, they have their own kind of interests. So they'll kind of express them early on to their parents. So when their parents do introduce them to people, they can say no, and that does happen a lot.
What do your parents think about this app? When you first told them it, what was their first initial response?
They've always supported me with it, but now they're like, oh wow, this is actually something, right? There's like people in my town in Pennsylvania that have gotten married off of the app. And
what?
Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
like,
so cool.
And they reach out to my mom and say like, you guys are the vichole, like, things like that. And now they're like, wow, like people are actually talking about this, and like this is a real thing.
Have you had any backlash from any older generation from the app?
Not really. We've actually found like a lot of support. Parents that are conservative, once their daughter hits the age of like 26, 27, 28, they really start to open up, right? Because you can't walk outside and run into 10 different South Asians that might be a suitable match for you, right? So what do you resort to? You resort to your family's network. And once they've kind of introduced you to the guys that they think is good for you, and you say no to them, you're kind of, you're out of luck, right? And like, before you know it, you've pretty much spent all your time on school and your career, and now you're ready to settle down, and now it's a massive problem for you to find somebody, right? And they're hearing this from like other parents and other people, so like I think a lot of parents are becoming more and more okay to it now.
It's like the South Asian like juxtaposition of like be successful and then boom, oh, you gotta get married.
Right, right. I think it's a function of multiple things, right? Like one of the things is historically back in the day, you would grow up, you would get to a certain age, and then they would present you with like maybe 1 or 2 people and you would get married. Right? There was like, you didn't have that much optionality because you lived in a small town, everybody kind of knew everybody, and then, through your family or through their network, they had somebody and you found them. And people actually, they were less particular on who they wanted to get married to too, because they didn't know about what existed in the world, right? So what social media has done, it's created the perception of optionality, right? So people do have more optionality now. Like, I don't need to resort to like dating or marrying a girl like within my town or within my city anymore. I can find the best girl like for me, anywhere in the world, irrespective of where she is. And I think that's resulted in people having more and more of a checklist of what they really want. So people, are not marrying the first person that their parents introduced them to anymore.
You just took the job of like thousands of aunties out there who like constantly have that binder of like bio data and picture and passing it around.
At the core of Dil Mill, we are a technology company, right? So we take data science really, really, really seriously. We take machine learning and these things very seriously. And how can we use data? So when you open the app, you don't have to waste time going through 100 different guys that you're not compatible with. We can do all the heavy lifting on the back end and only show you guys that we think are good for you. So let's say we have like 1 million matches that have happened on Dil Mill, right? We'll filter out the top 200,000 that have actually ended up exchanging a phone number or like having some level of success. What data science and machine learning can do is it can figure out the commonalities between these matches that people like me and you might not be able to pick up. Next time somebody like that signs up, we can optimize showing you somebody like that. So at a massive scale, you can be a really, really good matchmaker. And the auntie could never do that. Right?
Totally.
That's kind of the benefit. We're putting the aunties out of business. That's really what we're doing here.
But there's also that kind of like that flip side of having too many options. How do you feel that the Dil Mill app is different in terms of its success?
Generally, like human psychology, if you give somebody too many choices, they're unlikely to make a decision on something. So what we did early on was we limited the number of likes you could do. And once you exhaust that, you have to wait 24 hours to, like another 10 people. So what that did was it made people think about who they were going to give the deals to and actually spend a little more time on their profiles and, resulted in a higher quality match ultimately.
It kind of almost sounds like there's a formula for compatibility.
I think compatibility is another word, but another way to put it is like love, right? Like, does love really exist? That's a question. And then the other thing is, can data and can technology quantify that? It's a process, but we hope to kind of get close to that. I think if you can do that, if you can really quantify human emotion, you can really, really understand a person deeply and find somebody that they're compatible with, right? At a massive scale. And I think that is kind of the core IP that we're building internally. And something that we think that is really going to be the future of matchmaking and people connecting.
That's fascinating stuff. Have you found that there's any tips that work for online dating profiles?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a lot of data on that. In general, like we found that putting pictures of you smiling as your profile picture, you're much more likely to get a like.
Taking notes.
And like
everyone should be taking notes right now. This is serious. It's gonna get you booed up.
And so I think just being genuine, being authentic, putting up like clear pictures of yourself, not lying about your height, because eventually the person will find out. I mean, you might get more matches, but we found the most successful matches are the ones that are honest about their information.
Any general dating tips or findings that you've had amongst the South Asian dating scene? Like maybe do's or don'ts.
So I'll tell you some interesting data first.
Yeah.
So what we found is most South Asian guys are much less educated than most South Asian women.
Wow.
Like I'm Punjabi, right? And if you talk to like a lot of Punjabi girls, they'll probably say like most Punjabi guys are idiots, and it's actually true. Right? We've seen the data, and
the data shows.
And I think so. If you're a Punjabi guy, let's say in particular, at least try to act smart or try to act educated if you're not.
Bring a book to the date.
Be like, I read books. Like, this is what I read last night. Again, going back to what I was saying, being authentic and being yourself, people really appreciate that much more than trying to kind of put up a front and act too cool for kind of who you really are. Because I think ultimately, like bringing people together, building real relationships and love, whether, whatever our understanding of it is ultimately like really important to like society, right? Because if we lose that, then like we lose the essence of being human.
It's so interesting how technology is now being able to keep up with that.
And I think ultimately like our goal is to help people meet in real life, right? Like we don't want somebody to like use an app and be the end all, right? We view it as a tool to help you meet somebody that you can actually be compatible with now. I can use Dilmail and I can match with somebody in UK, right? And maybe like I'm more successful in that relationship than I am, with people in Canada or the US. And that wasn't possible like 30, 40 years ago, right? And the internet and like technology, the evolution of technology has allowed that. And I think it's important for us to like keep building in this space and keep building in the space of connecting people, because technology is evolving at a really rapid pace, and that's really impacting like the culture and how we live our life. It's important to make sure that we always have a path or a way to connect with other humans and like and find relationships.
Well, props.
Thank you
for doing that for us, and props for creating this app. And ultimately, like you said, it's to have people have positive relationships. So I think that's great.
Right. Great.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
There you have it. Online dating, bringing you and your next partner together. Studies about people who use the app are really interesting. 62% say that it helps them find a better match, but 31% say that it keeps them from settling down. So many options. But what about you? Have you been catfished, ghosted on, or found the love of your life? We want to know. Tell me all about it at the handles below. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get to some swiping on my own.
Diwali is a special time for you and your family. It's a time of light, of beauty, and of smiles. A time to pass on your love and celebrate together. So choose money transfer you can rely on and light the way for your family. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
Yo, Twitter is on fire because rapper Max B is getting out of jail sooner than we had thought. Originally, he'd been sentenced to 75 years in jail on alleged accounts of first-degree murder, robbery, and kidnapping. However, he just entered into a new plea agreement on the sole charge of aggravated murder, which is going to get him out in 2 to 6 years. So his protege, French Montana, and other rappers and celebrities are so excited for his return and are showing mad love all over their social media. Forbes released their list of the world's highest-paid TV actresses. Guess who's on the list? Number 1 was Sofia Vergara for the 5th year in a row, pulling in $43 million. Then our girl Mindy Kaling moved on up from number 8 to number 3 with her $15 million. Busting on the list for the first time, Priyanka Chopra, taking that number 8 spot, pulling in $11 million because of her show Quantico and the upcoming Baywatch. Get that money. The groundbreaking, revolutionary, dynamic iPhone 7 just hit shelves last week. Okay, no, but really, it's not all that different from the iPhone 6 that was released 2 years ago. It's just supposed to be faster, has a better camera, and a different audio jack. But initial quantities did sell out even before hitting Apple shelves last week. Uber drivers, y'all better keep up with them new aux cords. Yo, our boy Nelly is in trouble with the IRS. He owes over $2.5 million. But fans and celebrities alike are trying to help him out by raising revenue through streaming some of his songs like Ride With Me and Hot in Here on repeat and posting with the hashtag #SaveNelly. We here at the Indie Smash offices are doing our part by streaming on loop the song Tip Drill, on mute of course. We got you, Nelly. When hip-hop came out, DJs were everything. Grandmaster Flash, DJ Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa. It was a DJ's job to bring music to the people. And then came the internet. YouTube, Kazaa, LimeWire. People became distributors of their own music, their own DJs. And then boom, that huge EDM craze with Calvin Harris and Tiesto that came about because of social media, their collaborations with mainstream artists, and that huge festival culture. But what does it mean to be a DJ today? Especially if you're a female, and a brown one at that. Well, we got a lady here to talk to us about just that. Bengali-born, American-raised, DJ Calcutta. We are here with DJ Calcutta, who's been for shows like Good Morning America. She's been on SNL, Ellen, and tears up stages and tears up clubs. Just to start off, your name, DJ Calcutta in itself, where did that name come from?
Well, I was orphaned there, so I'm adopted from there, and I was actually born in they're called nursing homes. I don't know what the Bengali term for it is, but they're, not hospitals or whatever.
Right.
And I actually don't have a name on my birth certificate or anything. There's not even a father name. And then I was adopted when I was still little and came to the States in a basket. In a real basket.
So from the basket, you settled down in where in America?
Oh yeah, in like northern Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yeah, in a really small paper mill town. And then as soon as I could, I moved to New York. Then I kind of lived there and started spinning.
Today you're making music that's very, so many different influences, like hip hop, R&B, but you also have that very cool electro vibe when working with certain artists like Cruella. Where did that come about in the middle of the paper mill?
Basically, well, it's so funny because, I've always felt like the only Indian stereotype that I really have ever fulfilled is I'm very techie. So I was the first kid in my hometown to get Napster, and I just kind of listened to everything because of that. But DJing, you end up listening to everything because you get sick of so many songs. A lot of songs lose their magic, or you can't hear them again for a really long time.
When you got to New York, were you DJing parties for your friends growing up?
Oh God, no. What? First of all, had that happened, it would have been people asking me for country songs that I would have been and no to you. Even though I actually love country now, in my head I thought I was gonna be like J-Lo. I thought I was gonna be a fly girl and somehow transition into
Selena and then get
and then get a record deal. I was that makes sense. That trajectory is completely clear to me. I pretended to go to school in New York for a quarter, just because I knew.
Pretended?
Yeah. I knew my mom would not basically help me get to New York if I wasn't gonna go to school. So whatever.
You're gonna go to college.
Yeah, right. Even though I wasn't in school, I came out of pocket and took engineering and programming classes at NYU's Clive Davis, the second year they were in existence. So I could be a producer, and then really just started focusing on music. I moved in with a boy who taught me kind of how to DJ. He had full setup and stuff, so I learned on real vinyl. When I would go to gigs, it was still before it was during SL1 days. And so I would bring real vinyl to transition over from whoever I was spinning with, whoever I was opening for. And all the guy DJs were oh, that's really, Steph, that's really respectable.
Yeah, because it's the real stuff.
Yeah. And it was I think the first year I spun, every single gig I heard, I've never seen a girl DJ before. Yeah. Now, people are I'm just sick of girl DJs.
But that's cool. You were one of the first chick DJs out there. What was it like being a woman in that sphere? And not just a woman, but a woman of color.
It was horrible, especially in retrospect, but at the time, I let optimism take the wheel. I just didn't realize when I got into it would be such a bro club. I'm never gonna be a bro. I'm just not gonna all of a sudden wake up white in the Upper East Side and exactly, or Brooklyn or whatever, There was a lot of dudes who used to open for Am and stuff like that, who are good friends of mine and are incredible DJs. I really did luck out because I got to learn from like some of the best people I've ever seen, and I mean really most talented like open format DJs period in the game. So that was cool, but you know, it was yeah, I got treated like exactly like you would think in a lot of situations. I had a lot of people try to just pull one over on me in programming offices, like, you know, everybody's so it's like people think they can get away with whatever, you know? Like even, like, cause I worked really hard. I did a Red Bull freestyle battle, and I actually was the only girl. They asked me to do it. It was like 9 guys, I wanna say, and me.
Wow.
And that battle is actually really hard. You can't play anything that anyone's already played. You know, it was cool in some instances like that because I had a lot of opportunities to kind of stand out, and it was like I was a novelty, you know what I mean?
Right.
Cosmetics companies and designers were very open to booking me and friendly to me, and still to this day treat me incredibly well.
You said that, you know, before it was new to have girl DJs in the scene, but now it's more common. Do you think there was a specific thing that changed that? Was it just more women entering?
Serato. Serato changed it because before you had to carry crates.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just the physics of it just aren't gonna cater towards women, A, wanting to do it and being able to do it with the efficiency that a man can do it, who has a little bit more strength, you know?
Right.
I also think that cultural shifts have like contributed.
Like general
enormously.
societal shifts that kind of like let people be more welcoming to
Absolutely.
female DJs? Yeah.
Absolutely, because you just see the first female everything growing up basically in the 90s, you see it, you know? Also like the coolness of being a DJ, like all that, there was like a moment where before it got like super played out. That it was like really cool to do that, and very chic, and it was chic to have a DJ at your store. Or I think I've DJ'd at every store like below 14th Street.
So I mean, like you've been in it for a minute, and you've seen the New York scene, you've seen the LA scene. Any major differences within the two cities that you've seen?
I will say people are loyal to their rappers. Like the loyalty to Biggie and like Jay-Z and Nas on the East Coast is like, I would say like reflected the same here with Dre, Kendrick, obviously Pac. You know, the old school sets you can like kind of throw on. Like I can go really deep here. Like I can go into like Nate Dogg's solo material here.
People will be singing it with you. Who are your inspirations? I know you've mentioned Kanye a lot.
Yeah, Kanye and the Neptunes, big time. Khalees.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, she's like ahead of her time on like Bowie levels. I would say also my other two biggest inspirations would be Missy Elliott and Aaliyah. I love Missy Elliott so much. Yeah. And she's the closest thing to what I kind of am aspiring to do now because she wrote and produced and did vocals. You know,
she has her own swag and she brings it.
Yeah. And then I would say like right now, like Frank Ocean, The Weeknd, those are huge inspirations for me.
I feel like you have such a unique background and unique life experience, you know, growing up, looking South Asian and having that genetic makeup, but, you know, being raised by a white mom. How do you think your life experiences has affected your music?
I feel like in small town America, there is more of a black and white binary that you have to identify with one side or the other. There's like no Indian people to speak of. Really, where I grew up, I didn't know any till I was like 20. Like, first of all, I wasn't represented in media. I mean, we're still really not. So, you know, I feel like I imprinted basically on like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and like, you know, Urkel. Because those were the only people I could see like on TV who looked like me more than, you know, anyone else, really. There was certainly no Indian people on TV.
So in a world where, you know, you can get DJing apps on your iPhone, where there's GarageBand on every computer, why do you think DJing is still timeless?
You're assuming I think it is timeless. First
tell me more.
Well, here's the thing. So DJing itself, like proper open format DJing, I think is timeless because even the best algorithm just can't know. Like, here's the time to drop the Lion King theme.
Right.
You know, or like the Super Mario theme song, like it just won't go there. Whoever's kind of doing something fresh is always kind of like pushing the culture forward, you know?
Right. You're kind of doing more producing as well, too, right?
Yeah, I'm doing mostly writing. I'm doing a lot of writing.
And there's that new song, the new song with Halsey, New Americana, that's...
In that song, the second verse is about gay marriage, and I got to play that while I was on a float going past Stonewall last year at the Pride Parade in New York right after the legalized marriage.
And you've been vocal too in terms of activism. Your article just came out today, they were meeting about the Black Lives Matter movement. Your thoughts about being someone in the music industry and contributing to what's going on in our society today?
I think you have an obligation and a social responsibility that you're kind of like accountable for if you have any sort of platform. As somebody who grew up ethnic in America, especially in a small town, like I experienced extreme racism in some cases, and I don't know really what it means to have the Indian experience, but I feel that, you know, after comparing notes for years on end, that my experience was closer to the Black experience. Like, first of all, I got called, you know, I got N-bombs dropped on me all the time, and plus I just didn't have any, I just had no point of reference for Indian people. Neither did anyone I knew.
Right.
So people just thought I was Black. But yeah, it was important to me. I blog for HuffPost from time to time, mostly about issues that, you know, affect women and minorities, and obviously with the recent, you know, onslaught of police brutality, I feel that so many people simply aren't being vocal enough, and I think that at this point we can equate their silence to consent. It takes 2 seconds to post something, and if you posted anything else, you know what I mean, you have the time.
I think it's great that you're able to kind of use the platform that you have to put out these kinds of messages that need to be heard. And especially, you know, as a South Asian woman, to hear someone be vocal like that encourages other South Asians to say something, to do something about it, because the fight is on one.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to know any very memorable moments throughout your career.
Prince came to like hang. Yeah, like a few years ago. One of his friends saw me at another thing and came by a couple times and then sent me a Facebook message, and I was like, my boss wants to meet you, whatever. And I was like, who's that? And he's like, I'll give you a hint. He's your same height and he's from Minneapolis. And I had to tell my boss that Prince was coming, and she was like, the Prince of what? And I was like, nope, actual Prince. But yeah, sure enough, showed up, full ensemble.
That's legendary.
Yeah.
I was surprised by a couple of things. The idea that Serato was the game changer to have ladies enter the field, and the whole DJ hype being just a face. I mean, earlier this year, Diplo did call it a sinking ship. But at the end of the day, Calvin Harris is still pulling in $66 million spitting at clubs in Vegas. And the idea and role of a DJ has really evolved. You gotta be an all-around music maker, from DJ Khaled to Skrillex to DJ Calcutta. In fact, she is working on her own music right now, and you can check it out and keep up with her coolness at the handles below. Thank you so much for joining us this week. You're watching The Hook. You can check us out next week, same time, same channel. We're here for you. If you want to see the full interviews, check them out on YouTube and keep up with us on the gram. Peace.